It is time for the Ask Jason question series. You can see if you want to send a question to the Ask Jason question series, you can shoot us a question at info@thriveal.com. And then every Monday at 2 p.m. we talk about strategically how to grow your firm. And we do that by answering questions. We have a very cool question. It's an advisory question. So let me read this. It's from Charles. Charles goes by Chuck. So thank you, Chuck, for sending in this question. It says, our firm is 90% plus in tax preparation and related services. How would you modify this journey to more advisory roles, if at all? That question's got chunks and chunks of cool stuff in it to answer. But I want to let you know, I'm actually writing an advisory growth guide. It's a big growth guide. It's going to be like a free ebook. And if you want to get on our email list, you definitely want to get on our email list so we can get you this advisory growth guide. It actually talks about some main principles of how to do advisory, how to do it in a firm. That's a big deal. So email us, info@thriveal.com, or put something in the comments where you see this video. We'll get you on our email list. And then we'll talk about advisory and get you that advisory growth guide. And of course, we talk a lot about advisory related things at our Deeper Weekend Conference. dw.thriveal.com. That's where you go to register for this year's 9th annual Deeper Weekend. We're going to be talking about an EAO, which is an entrepreneurial accounting organization. We're going to be defining what that term means and what it is and diving deep, which is what we do at Deeper Weekend. But let's dive into Chuck's question. This is a really good one. Let me read it again. It says, so he's considering advisory. He says, our firm is 90% plus in tax preparation and related services. How should we modify this journey to move to more advisory roles, if at all? So let me point out the end of his sentence, right? If at all. So Chuck is doing a great job of considering the second part of a question we often ask firm entrepreneurs, which is, do you want to become an advisory firm? And then my partner and I, Julie, we always follow it up. Do you want what that means? Do you want what it means to become an advisory firm? Chuck is doing that. He's saying, if this is what I want. And you have to decide if that's what you want. A firm that Chuck's running, which is 90% tax and related, is a huge, fast-moving engine of transactions and processes with a lot of technical knowledge being packed into very quick, fast, rapid seasons and sections of time, parts of your life. With a firm like that, Chuck may take off 4 or 5 months in the year. But an advisory firm is not that at all. It's not any of that at all. And so when you're thinking about, do you want to move to advisory, you got to consider you're changing your whole business model. It is a huge change. You're going to live a different type of life. You're going to lead a different type of team. Things are going to be a different type of pace. So if you're making such a big change, just note you want to do that slowly. So this is probably a 2-year journey, maybe, depending on how big the team and how many clients Chuck actually has. But with 90% being tax and related, switching to advisory is going to be a change. Now, here's a component when you're making any kind of change in a firm, really in any company, but in specifically an accounting firm, if you're changing the business model, what do you always protect? Cash flow. Ask me how I know. So you always want to protect cash flow when you're moving from one type of firm to another, because different types of firms produce cash in different ways. Sometimes they produce cash at different frequencies and in different amounts, at different speeds, and you got to know that before you start making changes. So if Chuck is considering 2 things, run the tax firm or move into advisory, and how do I modify from one to the other? The way you're going to modify is always going to lean towards how do you keep your cash flow? And so one thing we would say was, don't stop the tax stuff, right? That's the cash flow right now. It's what all your clients expect. They know you for that. Your team does. You know how to do it. So keep the cash coming in with tax. And what you want to do is add in advisory on the end over probably a couple-year period. Now, as you add in advisory, if you want to make this full transition from tax to advisory, and probably if you're going to make a full swing to advisor, your tax is going to be way low. Probably advisor is going to be like having 20 clients And tax won't be a main part of it. You may do taxes, but you may have 20 business clients and do 20 business tax returns, and then maybe 30 or 40 individual tax returns. So it's a whole different swing, but now it's a calendar-based company, right? You're serving advisory, consulting, and advice all year long now in an advisory firm. So if you're switching from one to the other, which we're trying to describe here in about 10 minutes, which is hard to do, you got to just protect your cash. That's going to hurt you if you don't. So we would say, don't just lop off your tax work, add advisory into tax, and then as you add in advisory, which is really expensive stuff, not expensive, but it's more high valued stuff. It's advice and knowledge. It comes with much higher price tags. It'll replace a whole chunk of your tax returns. If you want to move your firm, now you could keep both, right? You could add advisory and keep the tax. Now that's kind of two different business models, and that's okay. A lot of firms run that. You just got to know you need different types of team to offer different types of delivery of those different types of technical services. And you have to know that if you're transitioning to advisory, Chuck, a lot of times the owners are the ones initially producing those advisory services. So that's what my partner and I do in our small firm of 12. It's the owners that a lot of times are delivering the advisory, and we're teaching and training our team to also do advisory. But they're also doing a lot of technical things too. So it takes time to train a team over to an advisory model. So Chuck, I hope some of those help. There's a whole lot. That's why I'm writing a whole ebook on advisory and how to do it. So make sure you guys get on our email list and come to Deeper Weekend so we can learn and dive deep into these type issues. So if you want to get on our email list, info@thriveal.com. Just email us. Or if you're going to come to Deeper Weekend, dw.thriveal.com. And if you go and you register, pop in the word Fathom. That is a discount code. Pop in the word Fathom, and it's going to take $150 off the ticket. And that's the last week of October. So thank you so much, Chuck. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on the Ask Jason Questions series. I hope that helps. You guys take care, and we'll see you next week.